So welcome back. In this lesson, what we want to be doing is we want to be able to add a new list to our table view. So to do that, I'm going to go up to this method that we added a while back, new list action. So let me get myself a little bit better space in here. So the first thing is I want to show an alert view controller that is going to basically ask us for a new list. So UI alert controller, and that controller I'm going to call it alert, and then alert equals UI alert controller alert width. One of the things to keep in mind here is you don't have to separate these two. I only do it because I want to be able to zoom into it further, because if it was like this, it would push my text further to the right. But the way I do it, when I do a declaration separately and then a definition, I can get a better, a space in here. You don't really have to do any of these. So that is the title, that is the message, and UI alert controller style. And this style that I want is actually alert. So all is good. Let's just stack them properly and type our messages. So new list, and I'm gonna say enter the name of your new shopping list. Perfect. So when we are asking for that, we obviously have to provide our user with a little bit of a text field. So alert, add text field with configuration, and the configuration that I want to have is actually very easy. So text field dot placeholder is saying new list name. That's very easy. Text field dot font. I'm gonna say the font of it is actually UI font, system font of size, and the size I want to use is maybe 20, 22, 25. We should see it based on the size of the screen. And text field, I'm gonna say text alignment is NS text alignment center. You don't really have to do any of these things. This is just, let's call them beautification. I mean, whether you have them or not, it doesn't really make or break your app. So the next thing I want to do is I want to say alert. What is happening exactly? Oh, I forgot entirely to add a bracket. So that's what's happening. Alert, and what I want to do is add action, and the action I want to add is, let's just say it's going to be, let me add my brackets first. So the action I want to add is UI alert action with title. So that's title, and that is style, and the style I want is default, and it's got a handler. So let me just get myself a bit of a better spacing in here, and then we can discuss what we want to be doing. So the action is saying OK, and if we call the OK action, we of course have to do something in here, which we still don't know what that is. So I'm going to have that, and I'm going to have another one, which this one is actually called cancel, and the type of it is also cancel, and my handler really doesn't do anything in this case. So basically it is nil. So really quickly recap of everything that we did so far is going to be very easy. I've got an alert controller. That alert controller has a text field in it. It's got an action for OK and another action for cancel. That's all we got so far. I could probably push this down as well just to get a bit of a better look. That's what I really like to do, making sure that my text is very clean and readable, especially because when I'm teaching, I need to make sure that you guys can easily see it and read it. So that's what we got so far. Let's see how it works. I'm going to run the code. And if I press on the new list, nothing really happens. Oh, that's because I forgot something quite important, and that is I have to say self present view controller alert animated true, and nothing happens at the completion. So that was my bad. One more time, we're gonna run this. And now if I say new list, excellent. Now it's asking me for a name for my new list. If I say, let's say party, of course nothing happens. That's something we still have to work on. So let's see how we're going to do that. We want to make sure that when user presses OK, we actually do something in here. For that, I'm actually going to add a new method. This is called modularizing your code. And it really helps you, having separate pieces for everything, especially for an app like this that's going to have so many different pieces. And if you were doing it yourself, you could just put everything in here. But because I'm going through the lessons with you, it's best if we actually, separate them. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say there is a void, and let's call this one new list alert OK action. So this is when you press the OK, and what it happens is it wants to receive a NS string imp list name. So that's essentially the name that you have fed to this action, and he's going to do something with it. So let's first call that when our OK is pressed. So when our OK is pressed, I'm going to say do self new list alert OK action. And what is the string that we're going to feed into it? It's essentially alert dot text fields, the very first one dot text. So look at my alert view controller, find these text fields, find the very first one, and whatever text is inside it, feed it to this action. Now let's see what this action is going to do for me. This action is going to do something quite simple. It's going to make a new grocery list and it's going to add it to my current lists. Keep something in mind that if this was a real life application and you wanted to push it to the next level and submit it to the App Store, you wanted to double check to make sure that your text field is not empty. I'm not really going to do that because, this is just for the purpose of training, but make sure that that is the case with your application if you want to really release it. So I'm going to say grocery list class. I'm going to call this one new list, and new list is essentially grocery list class alloc init with, and let's say imp list name, and we have to give it a set of items, which at the moment we don't, so we don't have them. So I'm going to say nsmutable array new, and for a user, so let me just bring this one line down so it becomes a little bit easier to see. So the user is shared instance.current user, because that's what everything happens in here. Everything is based on my very current user in here. There's some extra brackets there, don't worry about them. Let me reformat the text for you. So new list alert OK action. I've got a new list. That new list is a grocery list with input list name, the name that we received from our alert controller, and it's got no items just yet. And of course it is for the currently logged in user, which we remember in our view did load, we said that's a temporary user called Amir, default email and default UID. So now that I have that new list, I can just simply say shared instance dot current lst add object new list, and that's quite easy. Finally, I have to reload my table view. I think it's called lists table view reload data, and that's about it. We got everything we wanted to make a new list. Let's go ahead and check how it works. So I've got my two lists showing up in here. I'm gonna say new list, and this is party. Okay, and boom, it shows up here exactly how we expected it. So it all seems to be working. Our application is coming to shape. We got some, initial list. We can add stuff to it, which is really perfect. Now, I want to show you a little problem that we have, and that's essentially the starting point for the rest of this, development. Let's go ahead and remember these things: simple list, office, staff, and party. And if I go ahead and I rerun my application, so we lost party. Simply between the two different sessions of our application, information are not maintained. And that's really a bad news for us. So we have to find a way to store our list somewhere on the disk of our iPhone or our simulator, and make sure that we read them the next time we come back to this application. That we're going to do in our next section.